Are you ready to save money, more money than you thought you could in the next 12 months? Our money saving formula coming your way next.
If you don't know us, I'm Larry.
And I'm Hope.
And we're from Under the Median, where every week we bring you videos on practical frugality.
When it comes to saving money, we started at zero. When it came to planning financial goals, we started at zero. Do you sense a trend here? Yet in the past 35 years, we've done a lot of reading, a lot of research, and a lot of implementing different strategies that we discovered. And we've culled those strategies down to a kind of formula, which will help you to be able to save money, to start with small amounts of money and grow it to large amounts of money in the next 12 months.
In this video, we're going to talk about the different strategies that we use towards savings, but you'll need to apply these personally to your own situation and tailor them to your own needs. Before Hope gets started on step one of our formula for savings, I want to mention that this is part two of a two-part video where we go into great detail on part one on where we came up with that money in the first place, the seed money, in order to have some money in order to save. So if you want to watch both of them, I think you'll get a better picture of it if after watching this one, you watch that first one.
We're going to make sure that that part one is linked up above right there. And we'll also put part one in the description of the video for you. Step number one, goals, goals, goals. Yet again, something that we repeat because this is the step that people tend to miss. If your goal, so to speak, is just to save more money, chances are you probably won't. And you may fall into the trap that we like to call the big green pile of cash trap, because we did it. We started out exactly that way. Our goal was just to save money. So we did it. We started living within our means. We saved money and then we promptly spent said money. Why? Because that money didn't have any name attached to it. There wasn't any goal attached to that money. Therefore, we thought, this money is perfectly spendable.
Without meaning and purpose behind our savings was not very effective.
So instead of starting the year simply with a goal that says, I would like to save more money, make your goal very specific. Make it attached to an amount of time and make sure that you have a process that you're working through in order to reach that goal. Let me give you an example. Rather than saying, I'd like to save more money in 2024. Why don't you adapt that goal to a specific situation and say, I would like to max out my Roth IRA in 2024. Or even, I would like to save an additional $8,000 in order to finish my 3-month emergency fund in 2024. But there's something you can do that will add an extra kick, an extra little zing to those goals. And we call it adding a so that statement to the end of your goal. The so that statement is sort of your why you're doing this. Let us take one of the examples we just gave you and add a so that statement to the end of it. I would like to save $8,000 over the next 12 months to finish out my 3-month emergency fund so that I don't have to worry any longer that the furnace is going to break down again. Because you know that you have the money available to fix the furnace if something happens. Do you see how effective that statement can be when you're setting goals?
It takes a lot of pressure out of your budget because now you've got money available where you didn't have it before.
You're going to then add 3 to 5 action steps right underneath of that goal. Those action steps are going to say, here is what I am going to purpose to do so that I can stay on track and reach that goal. Larry and I love goals. We're huge fans of goals. We do yearly goals, quarterly goals, monthly goals, and weekly goals that we call our big 3. Now that might sound like it's going to take you a lot of time to set that up, but we don't like things for our finances that take a lot of our extra time up. No. So we can assure you, you can set these goals up in about 30 minutes or even less.
part of how we make this simple, we don't apply a ton of goals to this kind of a situation. For savings goals, we might be working with 2 or 3 at one time, not 15 or 20, where it gets complicated and gets to be, kind of a drain on your system.
If you'd like to get your hands on all of our goal planning worksheets, we put them all together in a bundle. We call it Goalwise, a Frugal Life Planner. And we're going to make sure that there's a link to Goalwise in the description of this video.
Step 2 is rebalancing your budget in order to be saving money. This is a case where you kind of catch things up to what you're doing. You want to make sure that you have enough money in your budget to pay for the bills that you have coming in on a regular basis, to pay for your money for eating and so forth. Make sure that that is set. As long as you have that working okay, then you will save money.
Here's something that people tend to forget about their budget. You may have 15 budget categories, but they are all interconnected. You cannot afford, so to speak, to see all of those as being disconnected and not a part of one another. You have to figure out how, when you set one budget goal in one area, how it affects all the other areas. And that's why you have to look at your budget and you have to figure out how to rebalance it. It's a little bit like a Jenga game. Those big pieces of wood that are all interconnected. And the goal of the game, of course, is to remove small pieces of wood and make sure that the whole structure doesn't fall apart. That is why you need to rebalance your budget. Because whenever you remove or diminish or get rid of one budget category, it affects all the rest of them.
In our son's recent wedding, they were playing Jenga. That was part of their reception. And I thought it was really interesting how you can take a block right out of the middle and the whole thing will stay upright if you take just the right one out. The same way it works with your budget. If you adjust the right amount, a certain amount, but not too much, don't do too much at a time, just do one thing at a time, you'll find that you can still stay in balance with what you're doing every month.
Now, if you're enjoying all of this talk about budgeting or goals, or you're like digging our analogies, or if you just really like that huge Jenga game that our kids had at their wedding reception, no matter which one of those three, give this video a thumbs up, will you? And make sure you're subscribed to Under the Median.
You want to make sure that you're assessing and tracking your expenses along with your savings program.
You can do this in a number of ways. You can use budgeting apps. You can also use spreadsheets. We do both. We use Dave Ramsey's free program, Every Dollar, in order to track our daily expenses. Then at the end of the month, we transfer all of the totals to spreadsheets, which I've created in order for us to track our monthly expenses. It's super important that you do this because once you've set your goals and you've figured out where the money is going to come from in order to reach those goals, then you got to make sure that you're tracking that income and also the expenses.
You can categorize your spending by identifying where your money is going each month.
And put that into basic categories. But here's something else, it's an extra step you can take that we have found to be super helpful. And that is to analyze your expenses. We started doing this at first with our grocery receipts, but it's super effective at every other area of your budget as well. In relation to groceries, I would get home with that receipt and take a close look at it and analyze it and say, how much did I spend on junk food? How much did I buy that I didn't really need to buy? What percentage of that receipt was spent in each department of the store? How much of it was meat? How much of it was dairy? How much of it was produce? How much of it was bakery? Am I comfortable with that percentage of that grocery budget going each week or each month toward those categories? That was one of the reasons that we started cutting back on meat. And of course, eventually we cut meat altogether out of our diet. But analyzing those grocery receipts, not only did it show us exactly where our money was going, but it also told us how we were spending the money that we didn't really want to continue spending it that way. And it helped us ultimately, between that and doing a weekly menu plan, we cut that grocery budget back by 20%. So it's super effective to help you analyze your spending, but also help you to cut back.
And this gave us a clear road toward improvement in order to work on and adjust our budget to make it more possible to save money.
Now, one of the things you might want to do is just keep your receipts in a specific place throughout the week and just analyze all the receipts of what you spent during the entire week, or maybe do it once a month. That seems, I'm not going to lie, that seems kind of laborious to us. Like when our receipts started piling up, we were like, once a month is just not enough. So you use your own discretion and decide how often you want to analyze those expenses. Step number 4 in our formula to save money this year, more money than you thought you possibly could save, and that is to look at your income streams.
Yeah.
We really think that from this point forward, multiple streams of income is going to be super important.
There's so many ways that you can add to your income. Okay, let's say you're working a 40-hour job. That's your main source of income. But if you want to add some streams of income, look at doing some side jobs. That's what we did.
Yeah.
We looked at what kind of things could we do that we could make money at. Hope did a lot of voice work. I did a lot of work transferring old videos from one format to a newer format to kind of bring them upgrade. So there's different things that you know how to do that other people don't, that you could charge for in order to add to your income stream.
We wrote down some suggestions for side hustles. All of these we've done, by the way. Part-time jobs, freelance gigs, monetizing your hobbies, tutoring, consulting, freelance work, and using any existing skill that you have to bring in extra income.
Step number 5 is save smart. In this step, you're going to take advantage of some nice automatic ways in order to save money by setting up automatic savings in your account to put money where it should go.
This works really effectively. Larry and I, for years, have automated savings in specific areas of our budget. And specifically, we still have some investment accounts that we automate every single month. And we do automatic transfers every month to our Roth IRAs to make sure that we max them out during the course of the year.
We also took out a CD rather recently. That was a 5-month CD that'll give us 5% on that. That's another way to make sure that we're saving money. Step number 6 is to monitor and adjust. Take a close watch at what you're doing. Take a look at it. Make sure it's working for you. Make sure it's doing exactly what you want it to do. If it isn't, then make some adjustments to it. Add some more money to it. Maybe take some money away if you're saving too much money and you need it toward your monthly budget.
Step number 7, stay committed and stay patient. Building wealth is comprised of 2 things primarily: time and patience.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, to be honest with you. Yes, you need to have some basic, what we call seed money available. And that's all of those areas in your budget that you are culling these small amounts of money from, and you're pooling them together in order to help them to grow to large amounts of money over time. Yes, you need to have that seed money, but the most important things that you need to have are time and patience.
You want to make sure that you stay committed to your cause of savings. It's real easy to say, well, I'll save this month, but next month I won't save as much because I got this and that going on. And you start making some up and down adjustments in it. It's better to stay consistent. Take a certain amount out and save it. Save it right off the top. You won't miss it if you do it right on the front end of it.
And then as you're doing that, you're going to once again be regularly reassessing and reevaluating how the whole process is going. And you're going to make some of those micro adjustments along the way if you need to do that in order to stay on track with your savings goals.
Now, after all of this, if you're wondering, where am I going to come up with the seed money that you guys mentioned? Well, we did a video on it, just the last video before this one, on seed money. How did we come up with that? How did we formulate that? And where did that all come from? We break it down into very small steps for you to make it as easy and simple as possible. If you're interested in that video, we have it right over there.